Welcome to the Search the Scriptures podcast, where we dive into Scripture and provide the explanation of it in the most accurate light that we can. Search the Scriptures is a podcast that is dedicated primarily to the Christian, challenging our brothers and sisters along with ourselves to see if we have set aside the commands of God to set up our own traditions. To do this, we use Scripture to explain Scripture. Please join us on this journey. All right, so we are in 1 Kings chapter 4, and we're going to dive right into it. Let's get to that first screen, Mary Berry. So 1 Kings chapter 4, verses 1 through 6 says, King Solomon ruled over Israel, and these were his officials. Azariah, son of Zadok, priest, Elareth, and Ahijah, the sons of Shisha, secretaries, Jehoshaphat, son of Ahilud, court historian, Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, in charge of the army, Zadok and Athar, priest, Azariah, son of Nathan, in charge of the deputies, Zabud, son of Nathan, a priest and advisor to the king, Ahishur, in charge of the palace, and Adoniram, son of Abda, in charge of forced labor. So here we have, this is pretty interesting because we got, first off, as it starts off, it says that he's ruler over all Israel at this point, right? So the kingdom is completely unified under Solomon. We have, notice also, I want to point out that Abiathar is mentioned here, but we know that he had lost his priesthood. He was banished from the priesthood, but for whatever reason, they're honoring him here. And so his priesthood was taken over by Zadok. So it went to Zadok. And then the other thing I want to point out is Adoniram, that's in charge of forced labor. This forced labor, this conscripted labor that they have going on, this is going to end up being a key source of division later after Solomon, when he dies. Is this going to become an issue? And we're going to take a look in a little bit of what the forced labor is what they're using it for. Any questions or comments on this? All righty, let's get to that next one, Mary Berry. So 1 Kings chapter 4, verses 7 through 19 says, Solomon had 12 deputies for all Israel. They provided food for the king and his household. Each one made provision for 1 month out of the year. These were their names: Ben-Hur in the hill country of Ephraim, Ben-Daker in Mekaz, Shalbim, Beth-Shemesh, and Elon-Beth-Hanan, Ben-Hesed, and Aribath. He had Sokah in the whole land of Hepher, Abinadab, in all Napath Dor. Tapah, daughter of Solomon, was his wife. Baana, son of Ahilud, in Tanakh. Megiddo, in all Bethshean, which is beside Zarethan, below Jezreel, from Bethshean to Abel Meholah. As far as the other side of Jokmeam, Ben-Gaber in Ramoth Gilead, he had the villages of Jair, son of Manasseh, which are in Gilead, and he had the region of Argob, which is in Bashan, 60 great cities with walls and bronze bars. Ahinadab, son of Edo, in Mahanaim, Ahimaaz in Naphtali. He also had married a daughter of Solomon, Basemath. Baana, son of Hushai, in Asher and Bealoth. Jehoshaphat, son of Paruah, in Issachar. Shimei, son of Eli, in Benjamin. Geber, son of Uri, in the land of Gilead, the country of Sihon, king of the Amorites, and Og, king of Bashan. There was one deputy in the land of Judah. So we have here, there's a lot of people. I mean, there's 12 that are brought up here from 7 through 19. Their primary function of these governors was to provide food or provisions for the entire household of Solomon and any of the visitors that may be there. Now, his household included the family, his wives, concubines, servants, the entire royal court, and the administration. So they're providing for all these people. This ends up being a significant burden placed on the people, but we'll find out how they feel about that at least shortly. I also want to note that two of these were actually his son-in-laws because they married two of his daughters. Questions or comments on this? What you got, G. White?
Whose son-in-laws are these?
Solomon. He had two of these are his son-in-laws.
I thought he was like 20.
Well, this is kind of like a recap, if that makes sense. Yeah. So this, even though he's probably still young, directly what we're about to get into, this is like a recap of, I guess, his of how he has his kingdom set up.
Oh, this is how it ends. Or I guess, okay, this is later.
This is like the height of it. Yeah, this is like the height of
this is what's gonna happen. What to expect. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So he has he has two son-in-laws there. So yeah, let's go to the next one, Mary Berry. We're almost done, believe it or not. So 1 Kings chapter 4, verses 20 through 28. Judah and Israel were as numerous as the sand by the sea. They were eating, drinking, and rejoicing. Solomon ruled over all the kingdoms from the Euphrates River to the land of the Philistines and as far as the border of Egypt. They offered tribute and served Solomon all the days of his life. Solomon's provisions for one day were 150 bushels of fine flour and 300 bushels of meal, 10 fattened oxen, 20 range oxen, and 100 sheep, besides deer, gazelles, roebucks, and pen-fed poultry. For he had dominion over everything west of the Euphrates, from Tipshah to Gaza, and over all the kings west of the Euphrates. He had peace on all his surrounding borders. Throughout Solomon's reign, Judah and Israel lived in safety from Dan to Beersheba, each man under his own vine and his own fig tree. Solomon had 40,000 stalls of horses for his chariots and 12,000 horsemen. Each of those deputies for a month in turn provided food for King Solomon and for everyone who came to King Solomon's table. They neglected nothing. Each man brought the barley and the straw for the chariot teams and the other horses to the required place according to his assignment. So here in 1 Kings chapter 4, verses 20 through 28, we see now the tangible results of this administrative structure that he put in place. It says that they have basically peace, prosperity, and they got plenty, and they're happy. It says they're rejoicing. So even though they got the forced labor, which they're not crazy about, they're still happy. The entirety of Israel is happy, and it's shared. So it's not like it's just one group that's having to do this the entire time. It's split between 12 different groups that it rotates out monthly. What you got, G. White?
What exactly did you mean when you said forced labor?
Like forced labor, like for real forced labor, like slavery, but it was in rotation, if that makes sense. So it's like conscripts, like, like the war that's happened in Ukraine and in Russia, like they'll, Russia might conscript some people, like force them to fight the war, kind of like that. So so they're being forced to do this work that is rotated out every month.
So I work for a month and I'm off?
You go back to doing whatever you're doing.
Oh, this is a duty then.
Yeah, it's a duty. Yeah, it's absolutely a type of tax.
A citizen's duty.
Yes. Got it.
Not forced labor.
Yeah, well, it's forced labor because you have to do it. You can't just say I ain't doing it. You got to do it. So in that, it's forced labor, I guess.
That's pretty much how everyone does it.
No, some people ain't got to do that.
The draft.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
But the draft is also forced labor. I mean, can you just say, hey, I don't want to do that? I don't know.
It's a citizen duty. No, you can. You go to jail.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, this is what they're dealing with. And like I say, they're not crazy about it because in a few chapters down, or actually when he finally passes away, we'll hear people talk about it. But honestly, this is the best Israel has ever had it, and the best that it will be for some time. It's because, like I say, even those that are in this forced labor, it still says of them that everybody was happy. Everybody enjoyed it. Not only did everybody enjoy it, there was like the system worked. So the people had it would say here, where was I at? It said every man under his own tree, under his own fig tree, on this like everybody had their own. They didn't have to worry about anybody coming in trying to take over, any raiders. You remember you'd have that with when David was king. He still had excuse me, other countries that would try to raid, like Philistines would come in and try to raid. So you may have a place to kind of border with them, and they come and raid your place, you know. And so none of that, no one worried about anything. They had for real security. It was the nicest it had ever been. What you got, G? What?
I wonder what calendar they were using back then. I say that because the Ethiopians have probably the oldest calendar, and it's a 13-month calendar.
There is a way to know, I'm positive, but I can't say exactly what it is. I do know that their time frame is based off of evenings instead of like daybreak. They go off of sundown. So sundown starts the next day. But yes, there is a way to know. I just never really looked into it. But yeah, they have they're a complete peace. They don't have to worry about their property being unlawfully seized by a corrupt government or anything like that. And this is all regardless of the burden of this forced labor. I mean, the system worked. And we also see, excuse me, we also see the reason behind having this structure, excuse me, behind having this structure, because they have, look at all the stuff they have to supply. 300 bushels, 150 bushels of fine flour, 300 bushels of meal. I mean, this is every single day that they needed this. And so this structure needed to be in place, and it had to be ran the way that it was ran. And even though as crazy as it was, it, like I say, it worked. Hey, Kathy, you have something?
You already say this. Pretty much everything is much organized, you know, like the government do it, what they need supposed to do, and the people know their boundaries. So I think he was smart in how to do his kingdom.
That's right. That was it's a good point. And like I say, at this point, he has received the wisdom of God, and so like I say, they're living in a golden age at this point. They're actually preparing to do the temple. What you got, G. White?
I actually like the way that Solomon set this up. It's a very socialist society.
Yeah, it is. I would say I would agree that it is. It's probably more social than it is socialist than it is capitalist. And with everybody pulling their weight, it worked for them. And I mean, it seems like a lot too. Like they're doing a lot, but it's working because, like I say, they were at peace. They had no fear of anything. Everything was just great. And not only was it great, we're gonna find out a little bit. Like there's a ton of money flowing into this place from other countries. I mean, just a ton of money. And so it was just working really, really good for them at this point. Yeah, some great comments. All righty. Anybody else got anything on this before we go to the last bit? This is almost it. All right, Mary Bear, let's go to the next slide. So 1 Kings chapter 4, verses 29 through 34 says, God gave Solomon wisdom, very great insight, and understanding as vast as the sand on the seashore. Solomon's wisdom was greater than the wisdom of all the people of the East, greater than all the wisdom of Egypt. He was wiser than anyone, wiser than Ethan the Ezrahite, and Heman, Calcol, and Darda, sons of Mahol. His reputation extended to all the surrounding nations. Solomon composed 3,000 proverbs, and his songs numbered 1,005. He described trees from the cedar in Lebanon to the hyssop growing out of the wall. He also taught about animals, birds, reptiles, and fish. People came from everywhere, sent by every king on earth who had heard of his wisdom, to listen to Solomon's wisdom. So here at the end of 1 Kings chapter 4, we see that the success of all this is because of the wisdom that God gave Solomon. So God gave Solomon this wisdom, and it says that kings, because of this, it became well known, like it was spread. It was amongst the region. The kings from all over would go and visit him and would send people to go and hear his wisdom about all things. From, it would say here, Lebanon, like this huge tree, to the hyssop growing out of the wall, like this little bitty small plant growing out of the wall. He knew about everything, from the biggest things and details to the smallest details, and about all types of things, all types of nature. God has given him wisdom in all this, basically showing God's hand in everything, that he's involved with all these things. And he has like great insight in this. But I want to point out another thing. It wasn't just that he gave him wisdom, he also gave him understanding. And understanding, or what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, what's the word I'm looking for? Being able to discern between good and evil. And so he was given not just wisdom, but also understanding. And he would say something. This would say in Proverbs. There'll be something written in Proverbs about this. And let's go to it. This is the last verse we're gonna go to, Mary Berry. So in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7, it says, "The beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom. Though it costs all you have, get understanding." So in here and in Job and a few other places, it talks about wisdom, and then it talks about understanding. There's wisdom, and it says the beginning of it is literally acquiring it, like get it. That's the beginning of it. But then in Proverbs, it says, even if it costs you everything, gain understanding. So the difference is wisdom, as it says in Job, I want to say, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, right? So even demons have wisdom in that sense because they fear God. It's the understanding, which in Job, it's a term from evil is understanding. So being able to discern the good and evil is the understanding. And he would say here, even if it costs everything you have, understanding is what you need to go after. And so so that's how important. So wisdom is supreme, but whatever it takes, and all you're getting is what another one would say, get understanding. And that's how important understanding is. Understanding is the discernment of knowing what's right and what's wrong. And that's all we actually have on 1 Kings chapter 4. That was a fairly quick one. Questions, comments, concerns? All right, that was a fairly easy one.
I think yes, the Lord gave him the knowledge and the understanding to understand other people, but I think he ruled, I think, in that humble to our last chapter that we were reading about the two ladies that was fighting for the baby. I think he ruled by the knowledge of the Lord is given to him.
Yeah, that's right. So it says that one of the things he asked God is for wisdom and a listening heart. And so that, I think, is the important part that you're talking about, is that he didn't just, because these were specifically two prostitutes, and we talked about this. They were like, the very edges of society. Like no one would truly really care, about granting them justice or not. And he did. And I think that says a lot about us. Like it doesn't matter what you think about a person. We can't deny them justice. If something wrong happens, you can't deny it don't matter if they're poor or whatever the case may be. It may be your enemy. It may be whatever. If injustice is happening to that person, you don't deny them. You don't deny them justice, because God is a just God. Yeah, great. And then there's actually, and this is what we're going to get into as we go through Kings, just to give you a little highlight. He's going to go through some pretty tough things. Like he's going to chase after a few different things. And he ends up writing about it. It's basically saying that I applied myself to understand all these things. Like I chased after all these things, and he had the means to do it. And he said, at the end of the day, it was worthless. It was vanity. It was vain. It did nothing. It did nothing. And he could do whatever he wanted to. He was the richest person. He had the smarts. He had everything. He can do anything he wants to do. And he found out that after chasing after everything, that nothing was worth it. None of it was worth it. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace.